Working Capital Management, Current Assets Management, Inventory, Learning Module 6, Lecture LM6c. For tourism businesses that manufacture and or sell tangible products such as equipment, clothing, food, and other similar products, inventory is often the most significant part of current assets. It can be a particularly high dollar item. It is the primary reason the tourism business exists, being sold to customers for a profit. Furthermore, given its nature as a current asset, it reflects, hopefully, significant movement and turnover over a relatively short period of time. Because of all this, effective management of inventory is paramount to the success of the tourism business. Successful inventory management does a number of things. It minimizes the amount of inventory held, it lowers costs, it improves profitability, and is critical to the operational efficiency of the business. As part of this operational efficiency, the goal of inventory management is to ensure that the business has enough inventory on hand to satisfy customer demand, keeps inventory at a minimum value to free up cash. Basically, successful inventory management involves a trade-off between the costs and benefits of holding inventory. Ensuring that inventory on hand is at an appropriate level is one of the most important duties of a manager in charge of this important component of the business. There are a number of costs to the business of holding inventory at high levels, whether those levels are appropriate or not. First, there are increased costs of storage of the additional inventory. Some of these costs relate to the tying up of the cash in inventory that could be put to more productive use elsewhere. Second, there is a need for casualty and theft insurance, which may become more costly and complex as levels of inventory increase. There may be spoilage of inventory over time. The most obvious of this represents perishable food items. However, a related concept is when inventory of non-perishable items such as equipment and clothing become out of style and no longer in demand. When high levels of inventory are held, the business needs increasingly large facilities to store the inventory, resulting in potentially higher property taxes for these larger facilities. Larger inventories may result in a need for increased staffing requirements to manage this inventory. In addition to tying up of cash, interest on funds borrowed to finance inventory purchases is a financial burden to business, and the level of those interest rates is an important consideration. High interest rates lead to lower optimum levels of inventory on hand. However, there may be situations where the inventory manager chooses specifically to hold higher levels of inventory. Benefits of holding higher levels of inventory include a lower possibility of lost sales from being out of stock, also called stockouts. There's a lower possibility of production slowdowns due to inadequate raw materials and work-in-process inventory. And higher levels of inventory may result from large volume purchases, which often come with purchase discounts. An astute manager will recognize problems with inventory before they get too large. There are a number of symptoms which suggest there may be or will soon be significant problems related to inventory that managers will have to address. Significant write-offs of inventory due to spoilage or overpurchasing with the resulting lack of adequate demand. Downtime of manufacturing facilities, increased costs to maintain facilities that are relatively unproductive. Lack of storage space for the amount of inventory held. This may indicate holding too much inventory or a need to invest in new storage facilities. Uneven production, which may suggest poor scheduling of manufacturing or poor use of downtime. The extension of time for back orders is also consistent with uneven or poor production schedules. This also may be caused by inadequate purchasing of products being sold and a resulting inadequacy of inventory on hand at a given time. Shortages in raw materials necessary to keep up with the production schedule, either due to poor purchasing policies or problems further up the supply chain, that is, problems with operations of the supplier of raw materials. Cancellation of orders suggests problems in the quality of the inventory or the process of sales delivery. Frequent layoffs and rehirings of personnel connected with the inventory management function. And significant differences between book inventory and physical inventory. Surprise inventory audits are necessary to ensure that inventory counts are accurate and inventory processes and policies are efficient and followed. To minimize inventory and inventory costs, the inventory manager needs to have an accurate assessment of the value of the inventory on hand. This requires a computation of the total cost of the inventory to the business. The total cost of inventory is comprised of the following three components: the purchase cost of the units to the business, ordering costs, and carrying costs, or costs of holding or storing the inventory once purchased. Here is an example of the computation of each of these three inventory costs to the business, followed by the computation of total inventory costs. First, let's look at computing ordering costs. The formula for ordering cost is D times S divided by Q, where D is equal to the total annual demand for the item, S is the cost to order the item, and Q is the order quantity. Now assume that you sell 500 backpacks per year. The cost for each order is $40, and you order 100 backpacks per order. Applying the formula, you get an annual ordering cost of $200. Now let's take a look at computing carrying costs. The formula for carrying cost is Q times I times P divided by 2, where Q is the order quantity, I is the carrying or storage cost per item. This is expressed as a percent of inventory value, and P is the unit cost per item to the business. Applying the order size of 100 backpacks per order, the carrying cost per item is 20% and a unit cost per item of $150. We get an annual carrying cost of $1,500. Finally, we will look at the purchase cost to the business. The formula for computing the cost of units is D times P, where D is the total annual demand for the item and P is the unit cost of the item to the business. Putting the demand of 500 backpacks times the $150 cost per backpack gives us a total cost of the backpacks to the business of $75,000. The total cost of inventory is the sum of these three costs, which is $76,700. An important concept that all inventory managers should understand is the economic order quantity, EOQ. Economic order quantity is the most economic quantity of an inventory per order that will minimize inventory costs. The formula for computing EOQ is the square root of 2 times D times S divided by I times P, where D is the total annual demand for the item, S is the cost per order, I is the carrying cost for the item expressed as a percent of total storage cost against the average inventory, and P is the unit cost of the item. Now let's use our example for total inventory costs to determine economic order quantity. Remember, demand for backpacks was 500 backpacks per year, D. The unit cost is $150 per backpack, P. Our ordering cost is $40 per order, S. And our carrying cost is 20% of inventory value, I. This gives us an EOQ of 36.5 backpacks. Therefore, given our ordering and carrying costs and our total demand of 500 backpacks per year, we should order about 37 backpacks each time we place an order. Assuming we sell backpacks fairly consistently throughout the year, we would make approximately 13 or 14 orders per year. Now let's decrease the carrying cost to 15% of inventory value. How does this affect our EOQ? This gives us an EOQ of 42.2 backpacks. By decreasing our carrying cost to 15%, we can carry a greater number of backpacks in inventory at a time and allow us to purchase more per order and therefore decrease our need for orders. Now, instead of decreasing carrying cost, let's decrease ordering cost to $25 per order. How does this affect our EOQ? We now have an EOQ of 28.9 backpacks. Decreasing the cost per order allows us to decrease the size of an order and therefore increase the number of orders we can make. The number of orders we can make given this EOQ is now about 17 or 18 orders. At what point do we reorder inventory throughout the year? This requires computation of a reorder point. The reorder point is the quantity of an item that exists in inventory when you place an order. It requires the inventory manager to consider three factors. The first factor is lead time, or LD. This is the number of days that pass between when the inventory order is placed by your business and when the items are received from the supplier. The second factor is daily demand. This is the quantity of the product that is sold per day. Finally, the third factor is safety stock, or SS. This represents inventory stock that is held to allow for variations in daily supply. This is the number of inventory items you want still on the shelf when your next order arrives. The formula for the reorder point is lead time plus safety stock. For example, again, we have an annual demand of 500 backpacks per year, and our store is open 250 days per year. Assuming relatively consistent sales patterns for backpacks across the whole year, we have a daily demand for backpacks of 2 per day. Our lead time is 5 days. That is, after placing an order, we can expect the backpacks to arrive at our business in 5 days. Our initial reorder point is therefore 10 backpacks, 5 times 2, which ensures that once we place our order, we will still have 5 days worth of backpacks on our shelves. However, this does not take into account that we may sell 4 or 5 backpacks tomorrow and the next day, and then by day 4, the day before the new shipment arrives, we have none on the shelves. If somebody comes in looking to buy a backpack in day 4, we will have to say, sorry, come back tomorrow. Not a good thing. Therefore, we also consider the safety stock of backpacks. Computation of the actual safety stock is based on statistical factors and other factors unique to your business and industry, and will not be presented here. Suppose our computation suggests a safety stock of 7 backpacks. We would then compute our reorder point using this number. Our reorder point is 10 plus 7 equals 17. So we order our EOQ when there are 17 backpacks on the shelves. Inventory is not always finished products on the shelves, ready to be sold to customers. Different types of inventories are found in different types of businesses, depending on the nature of that business. Following are the 4 basic types of inventories that might be found in a tourism business that provides, for example, manufactured products to sell to tourism customers. Raw materials inventory. These are items used in the production of the final product, but have not yet entered the production process. Once these materials enter the production process, they are transferred to work in process inventory. These are items in the midst of being transformed from raw materials to finished goods. They are still in the production or assembly process. Once they are completed, they are transferred into finished goods inventory. These are items ready for sale in the business. Finally, there is maintenance, repair, and operating inventory. These are items that, although they are used in operations for a number of reasons, they are not manufactured or sold as part of the normal operations of the business. This ends lecture LM6c on inventory management. Please continue in lecture LM6d on current liabilities management.